After a long day at work, Dalton was about to head home when he noticed a stranded van with a flat tire. Without hesitation, he pulled over, rolled up his sleeves, and helped the stranger fix the tire. It was just a simple act of kindness, or so he thought. The very next morning, Dalton's usual routine was shattered as he watched the morning news, his face turning pale with disbelief at what he saw. Dalton also noticed that the police seemed to have some of the information wrong about the man. So he quickly made some calls to correct them, and immediately, he was completely involved in this. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. After a long day at work, Dalton was about to head home when he noticed a stranded van with a flat tire. Without hesitation, he pulled over, helped the stranger fix the tire. It was just a simple act of kindness, or so he thought. The very next morning, Dalton's usual routine was shattered as he watched the morning news, his face turning pale with disbelief at what he saw. Dalton also noticed that the police seemed to have some of the information wrong about the man, so he quickly made some calls to correct them, and immediately he was completely involved in this investigation. But what had the man Dalton helped done exactly? Why was the police looking for him so much? And what would this all mean for Dalton himself? Dalton noticed that he was nearly falling asleep after the steering wheel on his way home. This day at work had taken so much longer than he had anticipated, and he was simply yearning for his dinner, and then to bed. But then something suddenly appeared in front of him. There seemed to be a car parked halfway on his side of the road. But when he rapidly got closer to the vehicle, he realized that it was very much real and was awake in a millisecond. Who in their right mind would leave their car in such a precarious position? He could see from here that this small bus had a flat tire. The driver had quickly come running towards Dalton from the side of the road, but his focus quickly switched to asking if Dalton could help him out. Dalton looked back at the small bus. Spending time fixing this tire up was the last thing he wanted to do, but he also realized how dangerous it was to just this vehicle stranded halfway on the road. And so Dalton agreed to help out, making the man's face lit up, while he connected his truck to the bus of the man so that he could first tow it out of the road. Dalton could not help but think that the man he was dealing with was acting a bit odd. Of course, it was normal to be a bit nervous and stressed in a situation like this, but what this man was experiencing seemed to go far beyond that. He was sweating on a not that hot day. Dalton had pulled maybe vehicles, even larger than this small bus, with his truck before, but he quickly realized that this bus was a lot heavier than he had anticipated. He asked him about the load he was carrying, and the look in the man's eyes quickly went from relieved to very nervous again. He told Dalton that that was none of his business, but Dalton quickly defended himself by saying that it was probably too heavy for the car. He also had to ask the man if he had a spare tire on hand, and the man admitted that he actually had no idea. And so he walked around the bus, made sure Dalton was not following him or looking, and quickly went in. At this point, Dalton figured it might be wise to remember the number plate of the car. The man finally came out with a wheel, and Dalton wasted no time. He advised the man to either lose some of his load or just drive a bit slower to save the tires until he made it to his destination. The man thanked Dalton and then stretched out his hand to Dalton. Dalton assumed that it was to shake his hand, but as he grabbed it, he realized that the man was actually handing him something. He looked and was shocked to see that there was a stack bills in his hand. Dalton was stunned and wanted to tell the man that there was no need for this, but the strange man interrupted him. This money was both a reward for his help and also to buy his silence. Dalton had to forget any of this ever happened and never speak about the man and his bus again. Dalton made the promise, and then the man got back on his bus and drove away. As the bus drove away, he squinted in disbelief. The number plates were different now. He quickly pulled out a notepad and scribbled down both sets of number plates. Dalton's mind raced with possibilities. Why would someone change plates in such a hurry? Dalton knew he had inadvertently stepped into something mysterious, possibly even dangerous. Reaching home, the comfort of his driveway contrasted sharply with the turmoil in his mind. In bed, Dalton tossed and turned, the silence of the night punctuated by the ticking of the clock. In the quiet of his home, Dalton sat down with the stack of money. arriving at a total of $2,500. The amount was substantial, far more than a simple thank you. Accepting it felt like complicity in something he didn't understand. To keep the money would mean ignoring its dubious origins, but to reject it would be to dismiss a much-needed financial relief. The next morning, Dalton's usual routine was shattered by the blaring of the TV. The screen displayed an image that made his heart skip a beat. It was the mysterious man from the previous night. Dalton's eyes widened. The man he had helped, whose nervous demeanor had puzzled him, was now on a wanted report. Dalton felt a surge of shock and disbelief. As the news report continued, a detail caught Dalton's attention. A reward was being offered for information. Dalton replayed the images in his mind. The original plate he saw, the change plate on the bus as it drove away, and now this third plate on the news. Sitting in his living room, Dalton began to piece together the puzzle. The gravity of the situation dawned on him. The knowledge he held, the evidence of the number plates, it was all too significant to ignore. With a newfound resolve, Dalton reached for his phone, dialed the police. He explained his need to share information about the previous night's encounter. The police were quick to respond, intrigued by Dalton's preliminary account. A meeting was arranged, giving him the opportunity to share his experiences in person, and he was about to play a vital role in something. Dalton sat across from the officers. He recounted the events in detail: the late-night encounter, the man's nervous behavior, the exchange of money, and most importantly, the changing number plates. They took notes. Fueled by Dalton's testimony, the police investigation gained momentum. Teams were deployed, surveillance increased, and the search area widened. Each piece of information about the plates opened new avenues for the investigation. Dalton's role in pinpointing the location had become invaluable to the operation. The police located and seized the bus. The man was apprehended shortly. The police pieced together the narrative of his actions, revealing a complex web of deceit. They revealed the contents of the bus, a discovery that left Dalton speechless. Dalton was informed that the bus contained a vast collection of pure silver. The value and volume of the silver painted a picture of a high-stakes operation. The discovery of the silver elucidated why the bus had seemed so unusually heavy. Dalton learned that the man had been operating alone. This revelation brought a sense of relief. There was no larger network or group that might seek retribution against him for his involvement. With the criminal's arrest, the mysterious events Dalton had been entangled in reached their conclusion. Dalton was informed that he would need to return the $2,500 given to him by the man. Dalton understood the necessity of returning the money and accepted the decision with grace. In a surprising turn of events, the police announced that Dalton would be rewarded for his significant contribution to the case. The gesture from the police was more than a mere acknowledgement. It was a testament to the value of civic responsibility and the impact of individual actions in the pursuit of justice.